Hello and welcome to chapter 2 of the series of videos where in this chapter we will look at starting a 2D platformer game in Unity. So for the index for this chapter, first we will just have a brief explanation of chapter 1, 2, starting the Unity project, and third, a very quick refresher on Unity as well as starting up on the 2D platformer project. So to recap Chapter 1, a 2D platform game, otherwise known as a platformer, is a game that features two-dimensional graphics, horizontal and vertical movements, side or vertically scrolling environment, involves the use of enemies, puzzles, collectibles, and power-ups, typically involves the use of sprites, and its gameplay is mostly focused on getting from point A to point B, sometimes with checkpoints. Along with that, we established the six basic components of a 2D platforming game. These six components are the platforming mechanics, level design, use of sprites, enemies or obstacles, collectibles, and a side view camera. So to re-establish the purpose of this series of videos is to establish a well-known foundation for future works in the genre in order to open the door for more creative additions to future 2D platforming games. This can also be used as a means of practice for upcoming game developers so that they know what they are getting into when tackling 2D platforming games. Alright, so with the brief overview finished up chapter 1, we can now set up our 2D game in Unity. So now that I've opened Unity Hub, we can now create our new project and I will take you through this through live demonstration. So first, let's create a new project. And for this, we will select 2D Core. This is to ensure that we have everything we need in order to build our 2D platforming game. There's also 2D URP, which uses Unity's Universal Render pipeline, but for beginners and for anyone in general, we will just be using 2D Core. So let's rename this project to 2D Platformer, and let's create our project. But before that, we want to be sure that we have a the correct editor version. For me, I am using 2022.3.18F1, but you feel free to use any Unity version that you have available. Although I will make a disclaimer that older Unity versions may have compatibility issues with the project that I will be making. So if you want to match my editor version, you can simply go to install editor, and find the Unity editor that I am using. You may also use newer Unity Unity versions just to be sure if you want to be up to date, but it will be up to you. So let's just do that again to the core and it's in project OD platformer. Okay, then I will see you when we create the project. All right, so it seems that Unity has finished setting up our project. So let me just close these two tabs because it won't be relevant for this project just yet. So anyway, now that we are jumped into Unity, let me just briefly refresh you on the components of Unity. So here above, we have our different tabs for file. Maybe you want to create a new scene, open, a save, have a new project, open, check your build settings, your edit tab, preferably if you want to check your project settings or preferences, your assets, maybe importing a package or exporting, creating your game objects, which we will get into in a little bit, the components of the project, services, job, window, etc. So if you do get lost in the UI, we always have a search tab here. Maybe it can find what you are looking for. Now we move on to the hierarchy, and this is crucial in placing your game objects. So let's say you want to create a 2D object, maybe a capsule will appear here. Like maybe you can rename this to player, and maybe you can create another 2D object. Let's see, maybe a square. You probably make it bigger. Let's just move it down. This is just for example. Then you can just name this as the round. So yes, this will be very important in knowing what is in your scene. And right away, you already have a working camera, but soon after, we will be editing the camera so that it follows the player. So now with the hierarchy finished, you can move on to the inspector. And let's say you have a player. This is where